good evening, and welcome. This is Pain to Power, and I am your host, Maria Cosme, also known as Brown Girl Interrupting. And I am super excited to have you here with us this evening, whether you're on YouTube, on Instagram. And if you are on Instagram, please make sure you're on our YouTube channel, Brown Girl Interrupting. We are brought to you in association with the iRant Network. And today I'm really excited for the guest that I have with us tonight. But before I bring him on the stage, I wanted to talk about something that I think has come up recently in the speech that Niecy Nash gave at the Emmys. She talked about this idea of really thanking herself, right? Thanking herself, giving herself her flowers. And I think oftentimes we are so reluctant to give ourselves flowers. But what I love is that sometimes we get reminders of how important it is to really lean into knowing ourselves. So this week, I ordered some really cool items from Grindstone Universal, whom you're going to meet in just a few moments. And I got this beautiful little card in it, and I wanted to share with you the message that I got from it. It's called Knowledge. As long as the power in the eye enables you to behold the stars, as long as you enjoy God's sunshine and breathe his air, so long will you yearn for knowledge. But it is not a pumping in from the outside that gives wisdom. It is the power and extent of your inner receptivity that determines how much you can attain of true knowledge and how rapidly. You can quicken your evolution by awakening and increasing the receptive power of your brain cells, thus absorbing tremendous and varied knowledge in one lifetime. Calmness, concentration, and intuitional perception will make you a master of wisdom. I love it because, again, we are the masters of our wisdom when we really tap into ourselves, when we acknowledge our knowing, and we move forward with that, which is why I'm super excited to introduce you to my guest tonight, Grindstone, who is an artistic visionary. He is truthfully always doing so much and evolving constantly. So please welcome the man, the myth, the incomparable, Grindstone to the stage. Welcome, Grindstone.
Hey, good evening. Good evening. It's good to be here.
It's so awesome to have you here. And I see we've already got some folks pulling up. Whiskey Girl says, I absolutely love that. Oh, Whiskey, that you're in for a treat. Welcome, Tennessee Williams. Salute. And so, yes, Grindstone, I am super excited to have you here tonight because I think honestly, when I read that quote, I really did think of so many conversations we've had about your wisdom of self and how that has propelled you throughout your life and where that's brought you. So before we start, you are the founder of Grindstone Universal, but that means so much. Can you just say to everyone what that entails in terms of who you are and all the different talents and skills that you're bringing into your space right now?
Okay, so to make it very simple, primarily Grindstone Universal is a fashion house, and I bring forth creative works through fashion. Now, to break it down, I also create music, facilitate artists and musicians under Grindstone Music. I'm a visual artist, which means that I paint and I draw. And the one thing I won't do, I probably won't do your taxes, but I'll do a whole lot of other stuff. But like I was telling you earlier, I see creativity as a stream, and you can attach different shower heads to that stream, and it might come out like a jet, a sprinkler, a mist. So I just do these various creative things, whether it be visual art, fashion, or music, but it all comes from the same place.
I love it though, because I think then that's that idea of the ability for your streams to come in so many different ways is pretty impressive. And it's certainly created a lot of really great content in so many different arenas. So that's awesome. And then, the show is called Pain to Power, and I always invite my guests over and want to know and understand your own understanding through your life and through your experiences of what you think that is for you, turning pain into power.
Okay, well, I think everybody has an intimate relationship with pain. And it may not come from something that is inherently external. It might be from a lack of satisfaction. You're not where you want to be, or you have to pivot and figure out what you need to do next, and it might scare you, or you might have a certain amount of anxiety for whatever reason. So I am motivated eternally because I exist in an eternal state of discomfort. And I had to make friends with that. Like nothing stays the same. There are pockets where I get comfortable, but then I always find that that's like the most dangerous, least productive part of my existence. And so I'm driven by that. And, I think that if you get comfortable, it could really, and maybe I'm an extremist or maybe I'm a realist, I don't know. But I think that could be really the difference between life and death. And, one of the worst things you could do is be dead while you're alive. Don't be that person.
Don't be that person. But I think, and that's really powerful, right? Like, extremist or realist, like, I wonder if it's both, right? Like, can you be both at the same time almost to some degree? And I appreciate that idea of like just staying in that acknowledgement of uncomfortable as a good place to be. Is really powerful because it does give you like that ownership over the pain, right? Pain doesn't control you. And I think we're all like in that state of discomfort. We just don't always acknowledge it.
There's a lot of fluff that you can kick over what you might consider discomfort. A lot of it might be grouping yourself with people who are in a similar state of denial. But at the end of it, everybody has to face it, which is one of the interesting things about life. So I just like to meet the ground before the ground meets me, and I like to get to it and handle what I need to handle, the uncomfortable part, and then, the more I do it, the more I realize it's a continuous, like, regardless of how old you are or your situation, you have to continue to wake up and address yourself. You have to continue to wake up and address your mission. And so that's really what my brand stands for. But the whole, and in this refining process, depending on what you're made out of, you come through shining. And that's really what Grindstone, the name, came from.
Yeah. So what did inspire that for you? Like, where did you come to understand that with Grindstone itself and then make it your name?
Man, it was really inadvertent. I used to I worked with this wholesaler, and we used to sell framed art. Some of the stuff is like the motivational pieces, like it might be a picture of a lion and you say, "Conquer today," or the things you sell those. Some were like duplicates of a Renoir or Salvador Dali or something, like, just various framed prints. We used to sell them through this wholesale company. A lot of wholesale things would come through, and we kind of got to pick what we wanted. So in the neighborhood and the situation that I was in, I figured like some knives came through, and they weren't knives you cook with. They were survival knives. Let's say that, right? And so I was like, I want to get a batch of knives. And so I realized that the ones that had the actual stone called the grindstone attached to the sheath of the knife, those are the quality blades, because the grindstone, if you sharpened it with that knife, if it was a good quality knife, it would shine it and it would sharpen it up. If it was a blade that was not, that was faking, pretty much, it would crumble it down and it would break it down. So grindstone was the truth teller about what that blade was made of. And I would like to pop up with the ones with the grindstones, and then it just became a thing that I was making money off of, and I just adopted the name.
Oh, but I love that. I mean, I think there's definitely so much symbolism behind that, right? There's a huge story of
I'm not sure,
strength in there.
I'm not sure how that name came about. Honestly, I'm not sure if I came up with the name or somebody started calling me that, or like, it's kind of, man, it's a trip, because the clothing brand name, all this happened kind of at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Clothing brand came up out of this wholesale business. That wholesale business is actually where I learned how to do business. Like, I actually learned how to become an owner and not a worker, just by being close enough to the owner. And I decided to start my own thing, a clothing line. And with this brand, first we had another, it was me and a partner of mine, we had another name. That name was trademarked already. So we had to switch the name. And then we switched the name to Grindstone. And I believe that when I just popping up, I'm not sure if it was with the knives, with the clothes, whatever, people just started knowing me as Grindstone.
Mm.
I did not name myself that. I didn't name myself that. Yeah, I didn't name myself that.
You didn't name yourself. Okay, well, I see. You got one of your folks, Pinky Killicorn. I've seen a lot of her awesome, like, performances, and she is like hitting those videos wonderfully. It's all fly shit, Grindstone is fresh, baby. Yes. Yeah. I mean, like, I think regardless of where it came from, it's clearly like it's what you live. So I think it's so important to understand that what you live has come from where you started, right? Like, you're from Oakland, California, but tell us a little bit about just like the environment that has shaped who you are and those messages.
Okay, so I come from Oakland, California, the cultural center of so many things that we've lived in the past few decades. For whatever reason, Oakland birthed a lot of stuff. You got like a couple centers. I'll say Oakland, New York City, DC, but DC wasn't really DC didn't really have a media attention on it. DC was like the underground, kind of giving it that New York would give you some of that. And then you got, I would say Atlanta, but Oakland represented cultural awareness and willingness to do something about the problem that you noticed, right? So Oakland, the Black Panthers were a big part. Before the Black Panthers got their do it for self from the people who came before them, who came from the South and went out to find a better way. So initially the people who went west, the Black people who went west from the South, they had a mind of, we're going to do this on our own. So in the Bay Area, you just have a hustle and a shine that's just built in. And then with that, you get what we would consider the generally positive impact. Well, it all depends on where you stand. So it's not my job to say positive or negative. But with that, you get, the Black Panthers who would make sure that the neighborhood was safe and that the children were fed breakfast at school. That you also get a real active street hustle, because that's still in the do for self, mindset. So you get both of those things from Oakland. And I think every individual from Oakland in my era was really stamped with that hustle, do for self, cultural awareness. And so that's really where I come from.
I love that. And I mean, so can you tell us a little bit about, because I know in our conversations you went even deeper into like what that looked like as a kid in school, because you went to a really like dynamic but powerful school. So
elementary school or public school?
Well, I think we're talking about before Shelton's Primary Education Center. So that's where you ended up, but you were in another space that led to that, right?
No, so Shelton's Primary, that was like my first, it was a primary education center. So that was like from first grade up. But before that, it was the nursery school and the preschool. So like, to make a long story short, I'm not even sure if I could shorten it, but I'm not gonna make that long. So a great woman and her husband told their daughters, tell your friends to bring their kids to our house and we'll watch them. Because like all their friends, the college friends, they all had kids around the same time. And so that became the nursery. So I remember going to the nursery, I might have been like 3. So in the nursery, it was small, but it was like a little house, little playground in the back, basic nursery, right? But it went so well that when we were aging out of that, they were like, man, you know what? We need to have a kindergarten. Like we need to go from nursery. We need to have a kindergarten and pre-K. I see. Now we like the long version.
Yes, no holdbacks, always.
So the Black Panther started in 1966 in Oakland. Okay, so in 10 years from now, like in the mid 70s, there was a lot of Black Panther vibes. And there was a lot of, we're going to do this, right? So all the people's parents were really, really with, okay, you know what, we're going to do this ourselves. That's, you know, the women graduating from college, they were getting their jobs, and it was kind of like, you know, the first ones to graduate from college and all that. So as the children of that, we were all grouped together. And it wasn't like we don't like them or them, but it was like we really love us. You know, so it was like a really positive. We learned so much information from the time we were young, from nutrition and geography, math, all types of different stuff. It went so well. We had so much fun. We didn't realize we were learning. They moved to the pre-K. So in the pre-K, Shelton's Primary Education Center, it wasn't even called that yet. It didn't even have a name. It was because it wasn't big enough to have a name. It was just like, we going over to Shelton, right? So when we moved to the kindergarten, upstairs, Kamala Harris, vice president now, Kamala and her sister Maya, they lived upstairs, and they were their mom was friends with Miss Shelton. So Kamala and Maya, who were a little older than us, they would be helpers. So, you know, like you're in the kindergarten and then you got like the older girls. So like, you know, they were the helpers and stuff. And I mean, it was very normal. You know, it's not like she's going to be in the politics one day. It wasn't, you know, who knew, you know? And so then from that went so well. We started aging out of that. They then started renting buildings and built a elementary school. And that was Shelton's Primary Education Center. And through that, it was just a place of beautiful blackness. It was crazy. There was one half black, half white person at the school. Everybody else was black. And it wasn't strange. And like I told you in our other thing, I did not meet a white person until I was 10. And that, I know it sounds crazy, but that was Oakland. So that's just how it was. But we learned so much. We were so enriched. You know, we practiced the principles of Kwanzaa. And I remember when Roots came out on TV, we all had to like stop playing. And we were just kids. We had to all watch Roots. As long as Roots was, we had to watch all of it. You know, we had to take notes on the Democratic national primaries, all that stuff as children. We had to watch the Muhammad Ali fights because they used to come on regular TV. Like we knew all, like we were very aware of who we were. And I really learned a sense of community from that. And I learned, you know, looking back on that, the people who were doing all that, they were in their 20s. The people who were maybe creeping to the early 30s, but it just gave me a sense of responsibility and the knowledge that I can do for I don't have to wait for some big event to start doing stuff and do it for my community. And it was just a wonderful, fun experience. It did not seem revolutionary until I stepped outside of it and I saw what the rest of the world was like. And I was like, oh, we was really doing it.
What was that awakening like, though, stepping outside? Because so you said like it was middle school when you started to then be in public school outside of this.
Yeah, so sixth grade.
Private space.
Yeah, so sixth grade, I went to my first public school. So back then it was like the 1 through 6 was elementary, then 7 through 9 was junior high school, then 10 through 12 was high school. But when I got to, my mother told me I had to go to public school in sixth grade because I had to get used to race mixing, right? So, all right, whatever. But it was a trip because that's when I learned about white privilege. But I didn't call it white privilege and nobody else did. I just saw how back then I saw how white kids would be positioning themselves. And, you know, they're just kids. So they're learning this from their parents, right? But they would be positioning themselves as being like the smarter, I got it right, he didn't, I did this, he didn't, you know, and it was like all this shade that I totally was not used to, but it was noticeable. And that was just as a kid. And so, you know, I would go home and play with my friends and we'd be talking. I'd be like, man, it's crazy why they act like that? Like, why they act, you know, and then so I would be asking my older cousins who would be, who were like in junior high school and stuff, did the white people act like this? You know, do white people act like that? And it wasn't any prejudice or racist. It was just discovery, you know, and I didn't know that white privilege was a thing.
But that's, I mean, and that's a real discovery and shock, I think, for a lot of kids at different points in their lives. But you having been like really raised within like this very like community oriented Black Panther like foundational experience, how did that help you to like deal with that shift and change of like even like experiencing white privilege? Like, was there something that you carried forth from there?
Well, see, to give it a more complete look, like I said before, the Black people in California are from the South, right? So I was also raised with my Southern elders. Mm-hmm. And the people who came to California, despite how you might interpret it, because I know it can easily be interpreted like this, there was a lot of success in all Black Southern cities and counties. Let's say counties, right? And so segregation in Texas, where my family was from, it wasn't bad. Now the bad part was, the fact that you didn't have indoor plumbing or, some basics, but you had thriving businesses. You had neighborhoods that were supporting themselves. And so there was a certain pride that they had and that they brought, a certain work ethic that they had and they brought that did not come attached to anger or anything reactive. It was all proactive, so when you mix that with the younger generation, who was my mother's generation, who had a chip on their shoulder, who was a little more educated and they were aware, it produced us who started out loved and then evolved into confused because we were used to love, and then it was like, okay, well, why would they do that? Like why are they doing that? Why are they doing that? And so I think that it was all groovy and cool for kids to be kids until hip hop showed up. Then we got an opinion, and it related to us, and like, first it was Rapper's Delight. It was fun. That was kind of like an extension of funk. Everybody's dancing in the house, the backyard, whatever, everybody's dancing. But then like when Run DMC came out, even the Fat Boys, that was fun, right? But when Run DMC came out, that was more like Run DMC and Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. That was more relatable because they were kind of looking like the people we see and talking about stuff we could relate to. And then in the Bay, when Too Short came out, he was really talking about stuff we could relate to. And so because we would see it, like, oh, then we have a voice. Okay, you know what? I feel the same way about that. I feel the same way about that. I feel, so then coming into our preteens and teens, we had a real solid opinion. And then crack came out and the world went crazy and it was over. Over. It was the beginning of the end.
Yeah, but I think, but like what it sounds like is that like there's so many of these like key foundational pieces of your identity that like have really like put you where you are, right? And I saw that No Hold Backs definitely love the longer version. And she says, welcome Tasha, No Hold Backs, also part of our Ranters family. Yeah, then NWA, Public Enemy, changed everything, right? So like music and hip hop was your culture shift, it sounds like, that really put you and propelled you to like finding pieces of your own like voice, right?
Right. But my foundation was beautiful, right? And it wasn't until I got older till I realized the strength that was necessary for all those people to bring us to the point where they brought us without noticeable trauma. Like it was like a lot of love. Saturday morning Soul Train is on and everybody's cleaning and no kids could come out and play till everything was like clean with the Windex, kids are cleaning,
right.
Somebody's washing dishes, people are cleaning, you get the vacuum with the lines in the carpet, all that's happening before you go out and play, right? And then all that was it was done with love, and so it was like households were very functional before crack. Like I gotta say, like, and it led to neighborhoods being that way. And the elders were the ones on the block who could say something, and the kids would have to respect it. And that goes all the way up to the 18, 19-year-olds, 20-something-year-old. Like if grandma says something, and she don't have to be related to you, but if she's down the block and Miss so-and-so, then that's what it was. And so it was cool to, from that, also have like an opinion that was a little more critical, but we already knew who we were, and we already knew what community felt like. We already knew what love felt like. So there was never a need to be chasing clout or trying to identify as another type of person that you're not, because we were foundationally rich.
Yeah. That's a beautiful
thing. The more I moved around, the more I realized there was a lot that had to do with growing up in Oakland, where that was centralized more so than other parts of the country,
Yeah, and I think, I mean, you named it, right? Like it was generational in two different perspectives of empowerment, but coming together became such a powerful thing for your generation. So with that, I mean, you said it, right? Like crack was the end of things. How, as a child in that period of time and watching that like shift and change in your own community with your own, like with people that you saw and knew, right? What was that experience for you like, and how did it impact you?
Okay, so I remember it keenly because it was really, it was kind of like how AI is becoming a thing now. Like you heard of it a year ago, and now you see it, and now people are using it. It's kind of like that, and now everybody, and now we're operating off of it. Like, so that's how crack was. That's exactly how it was. It was before. Now people are like on their computers, so maybe that's like people are doing drugs, but then it was like all of a sudden, like, what's going on? Everybody's on AI. So when I remember, it was the summer of '83, and I was in LA with my cousins, and man, those days were beautiful. Ice cream truck, go to the Compton swap meet, relay races, doing whatever kids do, like just wake up early in the morning, and then it don't stop till 9 p.m. You catching lightning bugs and whatever, doing all the things, all day. The whole block is with it, right? That's summer '83. Summer '84, Jerry got a Volkswagen and an earring. Jerry's 13, right? He got a Volkswagen and an earring. Jerry, he's not trying to play baseball no more. He got something to do. So then, man, Tori got a car. Tori's 14. He got something to do. So-and-so's mom ain't doing all right. Like, what's going on? She was like the one we would go over and she would make tuna sandwiches. Now she's not doing all right. Like, dang, what's going on? So it was noticeable, like, okay, things are different. The kids are serious now. The kids they're driving. They're 13 and 14 with cars. Like, and so it was like, okay, damn. This is interesting. So then like I remember my cousin, he was also from the Bay. We would go down to LA. And LA and Oakland, they're like 5-6 hours apart. But they're worlds apart culturally. And so my cousin, he was like, yeah, so-and-so was on the grind. He's grinding. Right. And I was like, damn, what is grinding? And this is like, so this is summer '84. Right. So like we're in junior high school, but he's talking about somebody's selling drugs, right? And he's like, damn, he's grinding. Okay, damn, what's grinding? Then all the music started talking about elements of what happens with crack. And like the first big one that I remember, I think it was by Mixmaster Spade. I think that was who was by, but it was called Bataram, and that's like a classic. But the Bataram, it was the truck, or that it was kind of like a tank, and they would drive it through the crack houses, and like so all up and down certain streets, the Bataram is coming, and that's what 50 Cent got the sample of Wanksta from. Like that's that sample from Bataram. But like so now the Bataram is coming, and then it was just like all these things that did not exist just a year before, and the attitude was different. So then you go back. So then I go back to school, and it's popping in Oakland too, and it was like, dang, okay, I'm in junior high school, and I knew. So that's when back then it was like Volkswagens and mini trucks, like it was like trucks, but they would lower them and put rims on them, put a lot of beat in the back, and so junior high school, man, this kid's driving to school, parking around the corner. And I was like, damn, this shit is different. So the attention went from video games, and then, you know, you got kids wearing jewelry, like real jewelry, because, you know, their dads and their family is in the game. And then it just evolved so quick that you had to, man, you just really had to know who you were. Like for real, because it was easy to get swept up. And before that, in Oakland at least, the pimps and the players were the ones who were like LeBron and Steph, you know, like if you was pimping, you know, so like you would see all that in Oakland. And then I remember, this might have been 86. I remember this one pimp, he kind of used to bully kids, you know, like, and who knows, he might have been 19, but he seemed way older, right? He might have been 21, I don't know. But I remember one day we got off the bus and he was asking for change, and he had like peed all over his sweatsuit. And it was like, damn, like, what's up with this dude? And then I remember the dude who used to take our football, you know, because that was also a thing. Like, you know, the big kid would take the kid's ball and never give it back, you know.
Yeah.
I remember one time, you know, like walking by the donut shop and then just seeing him in the window just tweaking. He was gone, right? And so like just observing all this, it was like, oh, damn, stuff is different. Okay, it's different now. So that was, I don't even know how we started talking about that, but that was something that like made the city boy's mind grow up a little quicker, you know, at a hyper speed.
Yeah. But I think the way, I really appreciate the way that you've like painted that picture in terms of like the layers to what that means. Because I think oftentimes when we talk about the crack epidemic, that's not the full story, right? What you talk about is kids having to grow up faster than they should have in many ways, and losing that innocence of childhood, but also adults not capable of being the adults that those kids who are growing up so fast needed, right? Like,
because the adults became the customers.
Right. I mean, that's a lot. And I think it says a lot about, again, like what you said, like you had to have your foundation. So you had a foundation, which has obviously like helped you to continue, you know, moving forward and not get caught in that, right? Because that certainly could have been.
It was definitely could have gone down that way. I mean, I remember, so, all right, I didn't go to kindergarten, so I went to pre-K. I went from nursery school to pre-K to elementary school. So I skipped a grade. So I was younger than everybody. So in 7th grade, I was 11. And my birthday's in the summer, right? So 7th grade, I was 11. And I remember 7th grade orientation. It was dude Eric. You know, like you had everybody gets a piece of paper with their locker combo, and you got to like practice over in your locker. So, and you know, you might have brought a bag or two, whatever, you drop it in there. I remember right next to me, this is 7th grade orientation. This dude was shorter than me, but we're in 7th grade, so everybody's kind of short, right? He pulled out a gun that was about as tall as him and put it in his locker. And I was like, what you doing? And he was like, man, no, I just got to get home safe. I was like, oh, damn. All right. You know, it's for real. And I didn't understand that, because that wasn't, you know, I was catching the bus and all that, but I didn't have to protect myself with no gun at age 11. That just wasn't me. But things were changing very quickly, and quicker in some areas than others. And I was like, damn, this is real. And so it wasn't until like ninth grade until I actually saw a peer with crack in their hand, and then I was like, oh shit. And that day could have changed my life, honestly, because we had homeroom together. So, like, we were cool. We had computers together. And damn, just think if we took computer programming seriously like back then, I'd be Grindstone Gates up and I should have paid attention.
It wasn't just that elective, right, to get through.
Command, Alt, Delete. I should have, whatever we was doing, I should have paid attention. But nah, I remember one day, we're sitting on the bus. Things are as normal as bus life, goes. And he was like, man, get off on my stop. And I was like, what? And then I swear, it was this big. It was like, because I got this, right? And it was a rock. And I was just like, man, what is that? And he was like, man, this is a hubba. It wasn't called crack. Like, it wasn't called crack, I don't think, till Len Bias died. And when Len Bias died, it became a national big threat. And that's when Joe Biden and Ronald Reagan, that's when everybody was like, we're out to kill, this is gonna kill everybody, And so it was like, it's a hubba rock. And they line up for this, and you can make some money today. Right. And I was just like, I didn't it was like way over my head. I didn't know what he was talking about. Like, how you gonna make money? At this time, I was washing cars and cutting grass. Like, how you gonna make money off that? I don't get it. The bus is still moving. I was like, nah, I got to get off at my stop, because, man, if I get home, my mom gets home and I'm not there, I'm gonna get in trouble, right? And so that decision right there, like, say if I got off at the stop with him, that could have been the day I got turned out, and that could have been the day I stopped listening to the adults, And then, like, all through high school, for real though, he was getting a little money, he was getting some money. But it didn't end up good for him, and it didn't end up good for him early, So it was a lot of stories like that, But that didn't characterize my childhood or high school years, but that was definitely a part that that you can't talk about Oakland and not mention that.
Well, and I gotta say, the chat, I don't know if you see, it's blowing up as you're talking, right? Pinky Killicorn says, oh, I missed it. It said life-changing decision. Yeah, that's a huge life-changing decision, right? But also, like, it's this idea of, like, you've been guided, right? Like, it's clear you've been guided along your path to, like, make these certain decisions. And we're only scratching the surface of how many decisions you've made and how many shifts and spaces you've gone into. Mr. Jones, I see here. Thank you and welcome. Salute, another one of our Ranters Network folks. Thank you. Salute, Mr. Jones. What's up, J58? Peace to all. Yes, our Ranters Union is in here heavy. I love it. And Josh says, how dangerous and hard was it to stay out of the way?
Man, it was okay. So the lines were really blurred when it came to what's good and what's bad, because the rules were happening so fast. And I guess, like, AI is the best way I could compare it. Everything started happening so fast. Like, so some people stayed out the way, some people didn't. I saw people get turned down on crack because they thought it was a party drug. I got lucky because I tried to smoke coke one time, and we were at a Run DMC concert. I was 12, and we were drinking 40s. And this was like before shooting was a thing. So, like, parents didn't really care. It was just like, yeah, come back. Like, oh, you're with them, come back. And nobody was checking IDs on nothing. So you could, like, a bunch of 11, 12, 13, 14-year-olds could go to a concert, right? It's crazy. But I remember there was Run DMC, Houdini, Too Short, Heavy D, I think, and Dougie Fresh, something like that. And so this is a crazy story. I know it started out crazy. I never smoked weed. I never did anything, but I'm around some older kids who everybody was smoking weed. So one of the dudes he had, so they call these Grimmies. Well, no, they call these, I can't even remember the name, because Grimmies is when you like crush crack up. I never fuck with that shit. I never fuck with anything. Let me get that out here. But people would sprinkle coke in their joints, right, with their weed. So they were smoking those, and then they came around and got passed to me in the concert. I was like, shit, I don't want to be like the Square. I'm here. Fuck. I'm like 12. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh shit. And I wasn't like, before then, I didn't know about nobody dying or nothing off the shit, right? And I'm watching people who I know like smoke this J, right? And they got like some powder and some weed in it. And weed was like adult to me. And I was just like, damn. He said, woolers. That's what they call them on the.
That's what it's called. All right.
Yeah. And so like, you know, the music is good. LL Cool J, like it was like the real ones would travel around and do these concerts, right? And I was like, damn, these fools are smoking. First of all, they're smoking weed. But damn, homie done came. And I knew the guy, right? So that's the thing. It wasn't like a stranger, but he fucked around and got cool. You know, he was in 8th grade. This fool had a medallion and like a sweater. That's when, like, if it was cool, you had on sweaters, like, you know, like a sweater. And so this fool had a sweater game. He had a fucking chain with a medallion. 8th grade. You know what I'm saying? This is fucking nuts even saying it. And so, like, I knew him, so they're passing it around. And then it came to me, and I tried to hit it, but I didn't know how to smoke. Like, you kind of got to learn how to smoke.
Right. You got to learn how to inhale and exhale. Right. It's a thing. It's a thing. And you never smoked before. No cigarettes, no weed, nothing.
I didn't know how to smoke. So I'm up here blowing out of it. Like I'm exhaling. You know what I'm saying? Right? I'm exhaling out the shit, trying to make the smoke come out. Because that's what I'm seeing, like people puffing out, right? And then I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm passing to him. You know, like I guess I just smoked, but I didn't smoke. And damn, I'm so glad. You know,
God, that's some divine intervention in life, though, too, right?
Hell yeah.
God is on your side. LOL. Yeah. Like, I mean, so I feel like as you tell these stories, I'm like, you know, do you feel like you've had divine intervention in your life in a lot of situations?
I'm not worried about shit. I'm not worried about anything at all because I know I'm protected. I know that through the prayers of ancestors, or maybe I got touched, chosen, whatever, I have so many examples of how it's all right and how I'm handled that I don't even feed into worried about. I don't even worry about nothing. I examine it, but I don't be worried about nothing.
Right.
Because it's so much like high school graduation. Man, we're throwing up our graduation caps. We're having a good time. Man, I'm going to see you this summer. The very next morning, the dude who I'm arms around, head blown off. Right next to me. Crazy, right? Like, it's been so many situations where I could have been the one. You know, like, or this could have happened or that could have happened. But man, my grandparents, my great grandparents, all that, they too good. They were too good. They deposited too much good in their karmic category and they came down. So I'm just surfing right now. You know what I'm saying?
What a liberating space to be in. Like, yeah. I think, and it is mindset. Like, what I'm learning from you and talking to you is like, it's not like, I think there's something you have to believe about that. You can't just be it, right? Like, you got to believe that truth and see it in your life. Again, chat's blowing up. We got to honor this. I see J58. Just for real, you would have ended up in a pigeon coop. You dodged a major bullet. # blessings for sure. I had a sherm stick once and didn't get high. We got things to do, brother. Divine things. LOL. God was not like them. Yeah. I mean, like that's the truth, right? I think you're right. Like there are some people who, right, it's the chosen. It's like you got stuff to do. And you definitely have stuff to do, and you've been doing it, which I definitely want to go into. The whole box says sessions were lessons that your ancestors were like, "Now we got this one." Yeah, people prayed for you. That's for sure, right? That's for sure. And I think life shows you that. And that really is sometimes that pain to power journey, right? Like it is that like constant knowing of yourself and believing in that. Thank God for the exhale. Yes, for sure, right? And I did see some new folks in here. Just want to honor all of our guests. I think I saw Dr. Howard also joining us. Rola Z, how many times have you had divine intervention? Welcome. Daryl Howard says, I think I went to the same concert in Philly. All right, welcome, Doc.
Hip hop was this big. It was small. It was like a few names, and they would be traveling together. And like they had a name for it. It was the Fresh Fest coming around sometimes, and then sometimes it would be another joint, but it would be like Jazzy Jeff, the Fresh Prince, Heavy D, Dougie Fresh, Run DMC, LL. Then it graduated, you got Rakim in there, Houdini. But it was like you would be able to see the best people, and then it might open with the headliner of the city, and then open.
Right.
It wasn't
but that's dope, and that's a time, though. I think that's really important in terms of pivotal moments, right? In a lot of people's lives, and you can see it in the chat for sure. Fresh Fest, yep, that's it. Fresh Fest, yep, Doc. So like with all of this then led you to come to DC, right? And you started like on this whole other path of things. Tell us about like. And I know, I mean, we got all the time in the world if you got all the time in the world for us, but and you got everybody in here riveted on your storytelling. So I'm just gonna let you take it. Like, tell the story. Like, what happened, like that got you into, I mean, really, people don't know this. And with all your stories, I don't know how much you often talk about it, but you were one time a 7th grade science teacher, right? Like you got to that space, but what even brought you there? And what was that experience like?
All right, so when it came time to go to college, around that era, Spike Lee was popping, right? And matter of fact, if you're able to go to the Brooklyn Museum before February 11th, go to the Brooklyn Museum and see the Spike Lee exhibit. It is outstanding.
That's cool.
Outstanding. And I think Spike Lee, from the various ways that he portrayed and just captured Black life, it was riveting, and his art caught me at the right time. And School Days came out when I was in high school. And in high school, oh yeah, nice, you pulled it up. In high school, in deciding what college you wanted to go to, there was no internet, there was no social media to see what this is like and see what that's like. So at that time, I thought Georgetown was a Black school because the basketball team and John Thompson. I have very limited information about everything, but when School Days came out, I saw that this HBCU life existed. Mm-hmm. I didn't know. Like, I heard about Howard, but I didn't know what that even meant, because every school that I knew of had like a state name to it, like Indiana or Berkeley or, so Howard, I don't know where that is. I don't know what they do there, whatever. And so when it came time, after I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, I got to go to it's a wrap. I got to go to a Black school after seeing School Days. I want to be in the environment where, and it's kind of was taking me back to my childhood, And so like, in my childhood, just growing up in a Black environment, people doing wonderful things, I wanted to be surrounded by that again. But then, Do the Right Thing came out when I graduated as a senior in high school. So, I mean, just the styles, just all the flyness that came with all that, I had to see what the East Coast was doing. And Howard's administration was trash. So they didn't let me know I was accepted till it was way too late. So I applied a few places and I decided to go to Hampton. Right. So I went to Hampton University, had no idea what I wanted to do, but I chose biology because I was like, I'm gonna be a psychiatrist. But that was just me feeling like bubbling in something. I didn't know, but I just wanted to be on campus and have this experience. So graduated as a biology major. I got a scholarship that I applied for that would have me in DC every summer. And I was doing research at National Institute of Health to maintain the scholarship. So that's how I got familiar with DC. And so I was here like in the 90, 91, 92 summers and really seeing DC. And I really liked DC because DC was all Black. Like I could be in DC for 7 days living a very normal life and not see a white person. And it wasn't like I'm avoiding white people, but it was just all Black.
It's Chocolate City.
Yeah, and it reminded me of where I grew up, And then another thing about DC, it didn't have any order to it at all. And so, like, with no order, I saw a lot of opportunity. It was just like you could have a conversation with anybody and make anything happen because everybody was black who was owning everything. And so I was like, all right, well, I belong here. Like I could get it shaken here. Like it's crazy. It ain't no red tape nowhere. Like you can do anything.
Yeah.
And so like I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get it going on here. And so that summer, then I went to like that was summer of '93 when I came up to DC like after college. And then my internship at National Institute of Health was over, which is a very crazy place. 9,000 Rockville Pike up in Bethesda, Maryland. It's so much crazy harebrained schemes going on up there. NIH is crazy.
Right.
Crazy as fuck.
Yeah.
Listen, my research, I was giving cocaine to rhesus monkeys every day. Ain't that crazy? What the fuck is going on?
Seriously.
What? That's what
What was it? What was the research for? Like, what was the actual like?
It was to test see how cocaine affected animals' hearing. So that's when I learned the hustle. So everything is a hustle. So that's when I learned that the PhDs everywhere, they write grants for themselves or they write like proposals. And then if those proposals work, that's what they live off of. So they would just come up with just like, I don't know, I'm gonna try this out. And then the government would supply them with whatever they need to run this program for a couple of years. And they would live off the money that the government funded them with. And then people like me would work for them to do these experiments. And it was crazy as shit. Like it was I mean, like they got rooms with, they do, it's like Diddy. It's like Diddy's house. Like, like they do crazy experiments at NIH on animals. And it's really crazy. So then actually, sidebar, in the pandemic, I was like looking up some of the doctors who I worked with and I would watch them speak about stuff. And I was like, damn, this fool is lying. Because I know that person. I know that person. So I'll be like, damn, ain't they lying? Like, this is crazy. Like being on one side of it and then being on the other side of it, that shit was crazy. So then from there, I got a referral to go to Johns Hopkins and I had a job at Johns Hopkins. And Johns Hopkins, I was doing a similar thing. But this time I was giving cocaine to baboons. Right? What's up with all this cocaine in all these buildings, right?
Why are we trying to load up our animals on cocaine? Like
pharmacology and psychopharmacology.
Do we not know cocaine messes things up? Like we need to experiment to figure it out.
When they do studies of psychopharmacology, they have all the drugs, every drug, all of them. So once a month on Fridays, I didn't sign no NDA or nothing, and that was years ago, like whatever. But they would come in, like, a pickle jar, like the size of a pickle jar. They would come in with like pickle jars, 6 at a time, full of cocaine to the rim. And it would be purified, right? And so the monkey, and then so like it would be purified, and we had to measure it out to the 1,000th of a gram. And the 1,000th of a gram, I mean, that's very, 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 very exact. And if anything was missing, then like you go to jail or a doctor would lose their license. And but then we would just mix that with saline, and then we would inject it in the baboons and just observe them. That's crazy shit, right? Like how's the government even funding this? Like it was ridiculous. Where are you getting all these drugs from?
Right, that would be my where you get pickle jars of cocaine from, right? How's that even coming together?
And years from me, it was the heroin experiments. Like so,
wow,
it was crazy. I didn't realize how crazy it was until later. Like then it was like a job. It was shocking, but it was wild.
This chat is making me laugh. It's blowing up. Did the baboons want to party after? And there was a couple more. So LOL.
I was taking this from.
What up, fam?
So
music official.
I was taking this on a journey about how I became a teacher. So showing up to this place and doing the same thing every day, especially after I learned the game. Like I learned that I was part of the game that this researcher was playing on the government, but he was getting super paid and I wasn't. Then I was like, man, I got to pivot out of here because I could be doing this forever. Like I was kind of working there to see if I wanted to become him And I was like, hell no, this is crazy. Like it's a madhouse. And it's not what I'm here for. And at that time, hip hop was really aggressive. Like you had Nas's first Illmatic had just dropped. Ready to Die just dropped. Gangstar's Hard to Earn was out. Like it was, man, Doggy Style had just came out. It was a lot of people around my age group who were self-actualizing. And they were really looking at life critically and going for theirs. And I didn't feel like I was. I felt like I was in this place where I can't do too much of this or too much of that because I got all this oversight. And then my friends at the time, I had a lot of friends and like getting real street money at that time. And they seemed to be free to me. You know, I was like, damn, they making great decisions, you know, like, and then out of my college friends, like a lot of them hadn't quite benefited off their college education yet. So I was just measuring freedom against captivity. And I felt like I was captive. And then Shaq at that time, he was playing for Orlando Magic. He seemed like the happiest dude in the world. He getting money, he's rapping, eating Snickers and getting paid for it and chilling. And I'm up here, I gotta be at work at 7, injecting these baboons. And it just didn't make sense to me. And then at that time, that's when I was like, I have to do something different. I have to be able to use my gift. It was it's a trip because songs will catch you at the right time. And the person who wrote the song will never know. But on Gangstar's Hard to Earn album, it's this song called The Planet. And it's basically about Guru is rapping about how he's going to make it. And he's from like Brooklyn, the planet, and he's smarter than his situation and he could do it. And that song and Nas's The World Is Yours, it really made me say, fuck this. I gotta go get it. You know, like, I'm like 20, 21. I'm like, man, I gotta go get this. This is crazy. What the hell am I doing? These people are corrupt and they don't stand for what I'm here for. And so from that, I knew that I got the word that PG County really needed teachers and they really needed Black teachers. So I went down to the head of the school board and talked to him for a while, applied, and then I got a job. And at that time, I was 21. I got a job as a teacher of 7th grade science at Brandywine Middle School. And so when school started, I was 22. But I was 22 years old teaching 12-year-olds, you know, science. But that was cool, though. What that did, though, like that accompanied with church when I was little, it taught me how to stand and deliver. It taught me to prepare, stand, and deliver to an audience. You know, and so that was a blessing. But I could only do that for 2 years because I knew I wasn't getting paid enough. And they really worked the hell out of you as a teacher, you know. And but I used that teaching as my art school. So I got into art when I was at Johns Hopkins because Baltimore is a beautiful art center. Fucked up ass city. You know, excuse my French. But you know, it'd be dope fiends everywhere. And this is before The Wire came out. So I was like really seeing it like, damn, somebody need to make a TV show out of this. This is crazy. Right? The Wire in the corner. And so I had all this extra time on my hands. I just started drawing. That's when I started to draw. And that's when I started to paint. Because I had all this time and I felt I had to express myself and I didn't have an outlet to do it. And then actually and like a couple years before that, that's when I was like, I was rapping, but not to be recorded. It was just like a skill set that somebody of that time had built in. Like I guess in like the 60s, everybody could kind of box or something. I don't know. You know, like,
right. So everybody's learning how to rap.
Yes, like in the early 90s, like everybody could get in the cipher and kind of, you know, be rhyming a little bit, right? So, you know, I'm writing a lot, I'm drawing, I'm painting. And then when I went to be a school teacher, that's when I started like drawing the kids and I started like doing portraits. And that's when I started like really getting really, really good at it. And then I was like, yeah, I need to do something with this. And then that led me to freedom for real.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, look, and honestly, we're already an hour into the show and we're only at the tip of things still. Like, I feel like there's so much.
Yeah, we just got to age 22. Like,
right. We're just at age 22. And I mean, but like, and you have evolved like so much from that. But it's like your spirit keeps calling you, right? Like your spirit keeps telling you this isn't it, right?
yeah.
And I love that. And I love that spirit is connected, it sounds like, very much to the artistic aspects of you, right? Like it's constantly bringing you somewhere else. So from classroom teacher, you're like, I need my freedom.
But
right?
see, let me
So where does freedom go? Where was freedom for you?
I didn't know. So when I was doing the work at NIH in the summers, I would have to present my work twice a year. And so my friend who I went to elementary school with in Oakland, I was on Georgia Avenue at China Wonder one day and bumped into her. And she was going to Howard and she was in the art. I hadn't seen her since 5th grade. So I didn't even know that she was at Howard. I didn't know she was an artist or nothing. He started drawing my presentations out. Right. So I would have like this real dope presentation. I would just watch her. I would just be at her house watching her. Now she does movie sets. Like she's a dope ass artist. Her name is Sophia Ellis. Right. She might not be on this, but like I would just watch her paint. I was like, damn, man, I wish I could do that. And I would just be sitting there just like, dang, I don't know how to set myself free. Like that's how I was thinking. And I was I wish I could do that. And so the whole time she was always like, you can. And I was like, nah, you got that. I can't do that. I didn't explore art at all at this point, but I was just observing. And then she was like, you can. Like the way you're saying you wish you could do it, I know you can do it. Do it. Right. And so I was holding back. And then one day I was like, man, what's the first step? And she's like, look, go get you a pen or some pencils and a pad to draw on and just open it up and start drawing. And so I did that. And then the second drawing I did, I should have brought, like I have it upstairs. I have all my shit. I never threw nothing away.
Awesome.
But the second drawing I did is really good. Like the first time I drew something, I was like, okay, that's, whatever. It's like doodling on your binder. What I did was really, really good. I was like, oh shit, I know how to do this. But what I did, I figured it out. Like I figured out the math and science of what makes something visually appealing. I figured out how to do it. I don't know, that it was just like I just figured out how to do this shit. So it was like one day, bam, now I know how to draw. And I can draw anything. I know how now, and so, and I liked it. At this time, now this is like still when I'm in Baltimore at Johns Hopkins, the Indiana Pacers were good. The New York Knicks were good, but Michael Jordan was the king, right? So Jordan three-peating and killing them. Reggie Miller, though, for the Indiana Pacers, he's shooting threes and he's the man. He's killing them. So he had this thing where he was talking about he was in the zone. And when he was in the zone, nothing could bother him. And he would lose track of time. And I was like, damn, I want to find that. I'm up here. And it was this old dude upstairs who lived like upstairs from me. And he like a older artist. And he would be painting these dope ass paintings. And I would go up there. He would tell me all these stories about when he was hanging out with like all these jazz giants like John Coltrane and Sidney Bechet and like Dizzy and all these dudes who would come through Baltimore and they would just be kicking it. He'd be the dude painting and they would be playing their music. And so I would just be sitting there listening and looking around his apartment. I'd be like, man, damn, you got it. Like, I want to get it. Like I was just seeing these keys to freedom. Like Shaq was the one who turned me out because he was my age or like he was in my age group, And I was like, man, this man is smiling. Like what I got to do, die and come back to live a free life? That's how I was seeing it, I was like, fuck that, I'm gonna get mine now. And so when it came to the point where I was drawing, I decided one day, let me just take the leap and start to paint. And this painting's in my bedroom that I'm telling you about, that I'm about to talk about right now. So I just started painting. I didn't have a concept, just started painting, and I just started going off. And then I just got to this point. I'm doing all these shapes and all this shit. And then that was like my first awake instant of time traveling and being in the spiritual realm and being in the zone. And then like when I kind of popped out of it, I like threw the paintbrush, like I threw that shit down, and I was like, okay, that was weird. Packed my shit up. I put that thing in the closet for like 6 months.
Oh wow!
Because
it kind of spooked you. Like
yeah,
it was like
it was a
that's
shocking
intense.
experience to have like left myself and be having communication with some other time period stuff, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was. Let me turn on the game. You know, like I'm trying to get regular again, you know.
Yeah.
And then so I lived regular for 6 months or whatever, and life got boring, right? And I was like, what was that painting talking about? Like what was that about? As a matter of fact, I have an album called Just Believe. And the album cover art for Just Believe is that painting that I'm talking about. And it's on all streaming platforms, Just Believe. So the album cover art for that Just Believe album, that's the painting that I'm talking about.
I can sense it's about to be pulled up, so we're going to see it on the screen in a few moments. And I love that because it really is like this depth of your connection to, like you said it, right? Your ancestry, your spiritual connections, like all of that, like awakens something in this artistic aspect of you that like you didn't even realize. And that, you know, like I think even as you're sharing all of this, I'm thinking I just wrote a post today and it's called Mirror Mirror. But the whole idea is this idea that we see in others what we know we want to be, and it gives us this possibility of striving to it, right? Like so many of your stories is that like you saw it in other people, you saw their things, and that's what you kept moving towards, which I love. All right, so you got freedom though because you started Grindstone, right? So like I mean there's so much. Like I feel like honestly like I need to have you on the show for like a couple of different episodes for us to go through all of it. And I think I saw Ja put it in the chat earlier, right? Like someone's got to get the rights to your story because it's definitely like a movie of all that you've been through, done, and accomplished to where you are today. Tasha says this dude got to be my distant cousin. I promise you.
We'll see. But see the thing. So this is what I learned, and I'm gonna say I learned this observing Nas. Like in the Source magazine when Nas had first came out. Like so, if you're not familiar, there was a magazine called The Source. The Source had all the rap information, the new stuff that was gonna come out. So when Nas was coming out, they did like a big article on him, and he was like the cover dude on the joint. And they had Rhyme of the Month, and his Rhyme of the Month was the rhyme. Now this was like 93 or 94, but his Rhyme of the Month was the rhyme in Life's a Bitch, right? So if you're not familiar with that, it's just beautiful. But the whole thing about it, he wrote it when he was 20, right? And it's just like some fly ass processing of information for a 20-year-old to be able to speak this way. And I might have been 21, and I was like, damn, how could somebody be this intelligent? Like, you know, like how could that happen, right? And so when they were talking about reading the article, it was like he dropped out of school in 8th or 9th grade, and you know, I was just like, damn, this is some genius shit. And then within that same year, I had just read the autobiography of Malcolm X, which to like a young person will totally change your life, you know. So I'm just all these points are hitting, and I'm just like, but damn, how could he be like talking about what's happening in the street right now, and just be this damn great with words in a way that is just like the voice of the steps that I'm taking, and every, you know, this is what I see. But he's saying it beautifully. But to be 20 and have written that shit, I was like, damn. So then it made me just say, you know, I gotta go inside, because like that's where that shit is. You gotta get it from within, you know. And seeing people from highly educated people to people like Nas with no education or self-educated people, it just like really made me go within, you know, like it really made me like go within. It made me read more, made me talk to more people, observe more, and really take my cues. Like, so when you get a cue from life, if you're doing your work on yourself, you'll realize what that thing is saying, and you got to really go with that. Like, just go. That's the thing. And it doesn't have to be American logic. It doesn't have to be linear logic. It just, when you know something, you know it, and you just have to build on that. And that's like part of the incredible stuff. So fast forward. This is real too. And it's crazy because I've been living my whole adult life off faith of some unseen stuff. You know what I'm saying? I've been getting cues and going for it. And then, all of it is most definitely ain't all wholesome, but I'm just saying.
And has it ever like veered you in the wrong direction? Like, have you felt like you thought it was a cue and it ended up not being exactly, or have you always like listened to the cues and they've taken you where you're supposed to go?
They've taken me exactly where I'm supposed to go. And sometimes I stayed there way too long.
So tell me more about that. Like, how's that impacted you and like in your decisions and things?
Take a very long story short, I got in a lot of trouble one time. And I was standing in front of a judge, and I was facing some jail time, right? And the judge, man, it's a trip because this happened to me twice. So, but I'll tell you about the one that like really, really made me like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna go be about what I'm about. Like, so the first time, it was crazy because it was a whole setup and all that. Like, that person was in on it. That person was in on it. I was like, damn, like, oh my God, this is foul. And so the judge was like, all right, you do this, you do this, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this. I see you've done this. You write the best case for yourself. The long version. No, I can't give you the long version.
But they're here. We buckled in. We're ready. Go for it, Grindstone.
The judge pretty much looked at the resume of my life up to that point, right? And was like, you have so much to offer. Why are you doing this? Like, why are you? And then I was like, man, I didn't do it. Like, I'm not dumb. I still didn't do it. Deny. And then so he was like, all right, listen, I feel that you have so much to offer and that you have offered so much. It would be disappointing if you served this sentence. So I'm going to give you probation. And so I was on probation for like back-to-back 18-month periods.
Right, but you were in jail. Like, that's
right. Yeah,
that's huge.
Right. And so he's like, I'm gonna give you probation, right? And but if you ever come back in here, you're gonna do every day, right? And then so I was just like, man, that's God who put on that judge's robe.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, that's what's up. I'm gonna go ahead and do what I'm supposed to do in life. I'm gonna go for it.
You were meant to do more, right? Like, and I think that's it, right? I think that's divine intervention.
And then another time, this was before that, but I had a charge that wasn't as serious. And I don't know, I can't even remember like what the result would have been. But like in DC, they used to have these areas called red zones. And it's pretty much spots where they would violate your Fourth Amendment right, like the illegal search and seizure. So you would just be driving up the street and they would post up and then they search your car, right? And they would search every car going up this street, and you would never know where your red zone was because they would move around. So anyway, I got caught on a possession charge on one of these red zones. And so I end up in court, and they called the representation to the bench. And then my lawyer came back like, looking at me like, I don't know what you did. Like, you know, kind of happy, kind of surprised. I was like, you know what? And he's like, man, I think she's gonna drop this. She's gonna drop this. She's gonna no paper this case. And I was like, what? Okay. And then so the judge dropped the case, right? And I was like, damn, what happened? And he said, man, this judge said that you were in the Source restaurant. I don't know if you're familiar with the Source restaurant, but that's Wolfgang Puck's restaurant. That's down near like Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Constitution Ave. And it was like, yeah, you bought her and her friends some drinks. And she said you had a real good time that night. And the judge, I do not remember that night. But the judge
remembered. Wow. But you know, but that's like so many pieces to that, right? It's like you never know who you're going to impact. You never know what interactions, like what you put into the world, your energy is important and like what you get back too, right?
Yeah. And so I felt like I was led. I felt like I was led to like the street and some hustling on some I felt that was divine. Like the tip I got was divine to lead me out there, right? But I stayed there too long, you know. And that's one thing. That's another thing about the damn comfort zone. Like, don't mess around and get all comfy. This life is not for that, you know. So I was getting a little too comfy in the wrong places when I should have just been like, bam, like a stepping stone or a little launch pad, you know. And that continues to be true. It's true with people, it's true with places, it's true with things, you know. And so to experience delayed gratification, to experience you know, how to kind of put your desires on the back burner, to keep your focus, those things, it just keeps being the lesson. And there's so many times where I wanted to be so much more comfortable.
Yeah. So, I mean, how does that work? Like, how do you get to that comfort with the discomfort?
You got to love it. You got to love it, and you got to understand that this is life. And so the feeling that you have that's uncomfortable, that is actually the feeling of growth that you need. And you have to really come to that intellectual understanding that this is the feeling that I need. This feeling right here, that's the feeling. That's it. That's the feeling that I need to experience the things that I want to experience. You know, and so you have to like understand that. And I don't know at what point we all develop our idea of comfort, because for most people it's laying on the couch eating some fried food or something. But like that had to be taught or something, because to the natural human, that's not even a state of being. You know, so we have to unlearn to find our function.
But I think so. It's interesting because I think about the idea of like, you know, we talked about white privilege earlier here, but like the white supremacy culture characteristic of right to comfort, right? Like comfort is almost like a privilege to some degree to avoid pain. But I think, like you said at the very start of this, right, pain is like important for our growth. And if we don't have that, we're not really growing, we're not evolving, we're not learning, we're not becoming better people in the world, right? Because to become better, you sometimes have to go through challenges to get there, right? Like that's key.
And I don't think you should go through unnecessary suffering and like hang yourself on a cross to try to experience something. You don't have to seek pain. You just have to seek progress. And through that, the proper pain will be met. And I think comfort for a human means you're not too hot, you're not too cold, you're not in a wet place, but you have access to water. Now, outside of that, if all that shit is working, then you're all right. You know what I'm saying? That's what like you got like enough oxygen. You know, then at that point, okay, I'm comfortable. Now, whether something is soft or spicy or sweet or like all that stuff, now you're getting a little frilly.
You know? now you got too high expectations there. Yeah.
Just be somewhere where there's no dangerous creatures or critters, you know.
Right. So survival is different than comfort. Like it sounds like those are almost like the two things. Like survival is one thing, right? Like your basic necessities to survive.
Yeah,
is the level of comfort that as long as you have that, you can be in the discomfort of anything else.
Correct. Yeah. So I think we need to redefine comfort, because there are several people who do things to make themselves comfortable and they experience chronic discomfort because of it. It could be eat too much. It could be sit too much. It could be lay down too much.
Mm-hmm.
All types of things where you are seeking comfort and now you have chronic discomfort because of it, because your idea of comfort got marketed to you. And that's not what it is. Like a functioning engine is working. You know what I'm saying? It's doing. Right. You know, we need to be functioning to find our ultimate comfort. And so
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just think that distorts our lives as we look at the marketing of comfort.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. But like, so does that also like play out for you in your relationship dynamics with people? Like, is that something that you are cautious with in that comfort space? And how does that impact your relationships? Maybe
what my perspective on comfort, how does it impact my relationship? Mm-hmm. When I first started learning, you know, it's a long distance between learning and true enlightenment. And when you're learning, as you're learning, you often want to enlighten others and tell them, no, this is wrong. Stop doing that. That ain't it. If you're doing that, that means you don't have it yet. Like you just need to be the living, breathing example of it. And at that point, you don't have to find the student will find the teacher. You know, so it used to impact my relationships because I used to kind of be like, nah, look, this is the way, this is what you got to do. But if they're not asking me, I'm probably not doing it right. You know, like
right.
Probably not even doing whatever I'm talking. I probably just learned it, but I haven't embodied it yet. You know, and so it used to affect my relationships, but I think now the biggest offer that you could give somebody is grace. And believe what they tell you through their words and through their actions, at which point you could decide to be around them or not. But trying to change somebody is insane. So I don't do that.
No, it's true. And it makes sense. Josh says, indeed, for certain. So we didn't even hit all the things, but you've got a lot going on. You just actually had your album, 3P, come out. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that so everybody can go and download it from all the platforms? And then anything else you got going on, you know, that we should know about as well.
All right. So the album, the name of it is 3P. It's spelled like that. THREEPEETH. And I called it that because I had 3 songs that didn't fit in either of these albums that I'm working on right now, about to put out. And 3P. Right. And I was just like, dang, you know, I got 3 songs. So to myself, I was saying like, man, that's a quick little 3-piece. 3 little, man, how could I market it? 3P. And I'm just saying it to myself. And then I said it like Mike Tyson would say it, right? And then I was like, oh, damn. And so, you know, you were part of the
I was.
I know how to say it. So I got people to submit. And I'm still going to do something way bigger with this whole idea. But I got people to submit themselves saying that word, 3P. And if you say it, you're going to kind of giggle inside. You know, you can't be like sour grapes and say that word.
Yeah. No, you got to smile. Yeah. that's.
Yeah. So it's a 3-song release, and it's all fly rap shit. You know,
I love it. Well, and if you check out my TikTok and my Instagram and my promos, I got 2 of those songs at least. I got 1988 and what's the second one?
Was it Shooby Dooby?
It's Standing on Business and Shooby Dooby. Actually, I think I got all 3 of them. Right. I got Standing on Business, I got Shooby Dooby, and I got 1988. All three of Three Pete's songs. Make sure you go and download them. They're dope. They're great. And fashion. Okay.
Let me say something about that 1988 song.
Yeah.
So retrospectively, the 80s have been characterized a certain way, right? The song that I have, 1988, is from a person who was there. And it's not like what we think the 80s was like, right? So like everything I say in that song is real. It's like real. It's real, you know, and so it's all I just believe it's important for everybody to give their perspective so we get the truth about, you know, so we get the 360 view of things. And so yeah, like 1988, that was a hell of a year. Things were developing so fast, but I just said it from what I saw, you know. So like that's what that song 1988 was fly as shit. But that was a good year. That was 1989 was my shit, but 1988 was a dope ass
1988, that was it. I love that. And I gotta say, I mean, like, I think truth is honestly like something that has like compelled me, and like I'm inspired by you in all the conversations, because you're like, you know, you're gonna call out NIH for their game, right? Like, you are a truth teller in the way of seeing the shit that like people are doing that seems to be passing as the norm, but actually is not, right? And that we accept without question. And I think I love that you push back, right? I think I know when I was in your space at Grindstone, and you had your silent disco, which is another thing we got to say, because if you're in DC, you got to go check out the silent disco. I was bummed. I'm coming back. Yeah. But I was bummed. I was supposed to celebrate my birthday at the silent disco a few weeks back, but weather did not permit, so I'm coming back to do it. But I think, you know, you say compliant, but not complacent. And I love that. Like, that was like, it caught me. I was like, okay, what's this mean? Because there's so like, that's a deep, deep message about the way you function and how things like seem to come out in all of your artistry and all of your production and all of your entrepreneurship, all of it, right?
Yeah. So if you come to as Pinky is saying right now, if you come to Adams Morgan, 2118 18th Street. Oh, there you go. Look at you. Okay. Hey,
okay.
IT is on it, right? So if you go up to 18th Street, right across the street from Marie Reed from the tennis courts, we have Peace in the Air and we have Grindstone. It's all in one. Peace in the Air is the digital music store, cannabis friendly shop in the back of the clothing store. In front of the clothing store is where all the fashion is Grindstone. And so on Saturday nights, we have a silent disco where we have a lot of budding DJs who is 3 DJs at a time. That's brought together by Sir EU, who's another part of the family. Man, I just love what we create and curate and how we grow through it. And you'll have a great time. We're gonna kick it off second week.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it feels like an intimate space, but yet like it's not, right? Like there's lots of people, and like it's really awesome. Definitely go check it out, and go check out Grindstone Universal's website, which is also in the link below, to make sure that you go and get some of the merchandise from this fashion, because it's dope. Like I already look at my promos. I got a couple shirts I bought. I see you got your jacket.
Yeah, so there's a group.
Dope. I love it.
I'm going to put this up on the website this week. I mean, can you see?
Look at that. Yeah, that's nice. I love that. Look at the fabric and the pattern.
Yeah, this is some limited fabric I picked up in Paris from this little low-key spot that like the people who really, really fuck with it know about, but everybody else don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope. I mean, there's so much more. Okay, so the next time you're going to be on the show, we're going to have you on, because there's so much more to your story and there's so much more to everything you've done. But I think what hopefully everybody's walking away with is the inspiration of like that power of believing in yourself and what you can accomplish through that. Because I definitely know that you have spoken to that today. Make sure that you go and follow Grindstone on all of his platforms, which everything is linked below, as well as go and check out the website for Grindstone Universal. Make sure you download on, I know Spotify, where else they find
All of them, like wherever there's digital music.
Anywhere, wherever there's digital music, go and find Three Peeth. Make sure you download that. And follow me. Please follow me. I am Brown Girl Interrupting. I have these shows every Sunday with dynamic guests like Grindstone sharing their stories of pain to power. I am also a writer. As I said earlier, I just published my newest post called Mirror Mirror. I think you'll enjoy it. Please go and check out my website, www.browngirlinterrupting.com. Go and follow me on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook. What else is there? Like everything, right? LinkedIn, I'm all over. Brown Girl Interrupting. Make sure you subscribe, put your email in, like, comment, and share, because this is all about healing in community. And hopefully what you've taken away from today is more ways to keep that mindset focused on how you heal, how you find your center, how you grow, and you keep moving forward, regardless of the game of everything else going on around us, which I appreciate. Thank you, Pinky Killicorn. I love it. Loved it. Great show, y'all. Can you introduce Pinky? Because she's been in here, and I know she's all over your site. Tell us who she is.
Pinky Killicorn is my spirit animal. She's my sister from another mister. That's my dog. Look, you see her, you see me, you see me, you see her. You know, I don't know, something in the cosmos just has some people just really activated, and we're gas and matches straight up, you know. And she is a DC purist, uptown. If you're from around here, you know about her. You need to check out her music. Pinky Killicorn is the name on all streaming platforms. She's done a voiceover for a cartoon recently called 12th Street. We got a lot in the mix, and it's crazy because she's really been at it for quite a while. I've been doing what I'm doing for quite a while, but it feels like the beginning, which is that part right there. Like, it feels like the beginning, you know. But yeah, go check Pinky Killicorn out on all the socials and everything. It's only one. Ain't nobody else gonna name themselves Pinky Killicorn. You know?
Yes, and your songs and video are fire, man. We were watching them actually just the other day. I was watching them with Ja, who, thank you to Ja. He is Mr. M, the producer behind this show, definitely doing all of the things to make sure that we got the videos up. We got all the links in there. Make sure you follow us all. Kimberly Lewis, welcome. Great episode. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who tuned in, who pulled up. Thanks, Pinky. Appreciate you here. Appreciate all your comments. To all my Ranters fam. Again, make sure you tune in every Sunday. So be back, hopefully, Grindstone. I got a great guest next week, Jay Stewart, also someone very deep in the hip hop world, who is going to be sharing some of his memorabilia and some never before seen memorabilia next week, which is pretty dope. Yes, here on Brown Girl Interrupting on the iRant Network, on the Ranters Union, Sundays at 9 p.m. Make sure that you are there with us. You are following. You put your email in. You hit the like button. You hit the subscribe. All the things of all the stuff, right? And if you have a Roku stick or you have a Roku TV, go and download the iRant channel. You have all of our Ranters Network shows on there, as well as I'm super excited because I now have my own station on the iRant channel called BGI TV. So make sure you go check out BGI TV, go check out old episodes, follow me. And Adila Vasi, my girl who connected me to Grindstone, got to give a big shout out to her. Appreciate you, and thank you for a great show. Thank you so much, Grindstone. This was awesome. And seriously, I'm booking you for the next one so we can make sure to go even deeper with more layers of everything of who you are.
I appreciate your platform and your time and all that. And I'm not sure if you told them, but people can find me at grind_stone on the various socials. And you're doing it. You're doing it well. I appreciate you.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And thank you for being on here, for giving us your time. I mean, we went like half an hour over, and the chat is still blowing up, and we got people here. That says a lot. So I appreciate your time. This is awesome.
That's what's good. That's what's good.
All right. So thank you to everyone. Have an amazing night. Make sure you tune in to Brown Girl Interrupting. You go and check out Grindstone on all of the social media platforms at grind_stone.com.
That is grind_stone on the socials. It's grindstoneuniversal.com on the World Wide Web.
Thank you. Make sure we got that. All right. So grind_stone on socials, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. And then, yes, of course, make sure you follow. And you got your YouTube channel as well, Grindstone Universal Productions.
Yeah, it's Grindstone Media Group. But if you look up Grindstone Universal, you'll find it on YouTube.
You'll find it all.
Look to see what the name, if it's Grindstone Media Group or GrindstoneUniversal.com.
Look up Grindstone, you'll find it all. Look up Grindstone anywhere, you'll find it all. You want to put some music on your Instagram or your TikTok, look up Grindstone, you'll find all of it. So just found it on Tidal. I love it, J58. Thanks, Jay, for pulling up, for being here. Thank you again to Mr. M for the production. Thank you to Grindstone for your time tonight, for sharing your stories. We love the long versions. They were all good. And we look forward to seeing everybody back here next Sunday at 9 p.m. Peace, love, and light.
Peace.
Thank you, God. Thank you for leading me. Thank you for leading those who came before me. Thank you for leading those who are side by side with me. Thank you for orchestrating all of this and placing me in it to find joy and mission. Thanks for elevating me to this point to be able to say this to you. I'm at the cusp of generational change. Right around the corner from wealth. Right in the crosshairs of chaos. I'm proud of myself. No negative self-talk here. My process hasn't been and probably won't be flawless. But I'm living in my visions. Years ago, I saw this. I wish for this. I've sacrificed absolutely everything except my integrity. I can't question my impetus. In the midst of this mischievous festivus, I saw in my imagination the land of Turnupicus, where everything is as it should be. Yeah, Turnupicus, that's what I'm approaching. But we just can't let this get the best of us. So I'm channeling. God is pouring into me. Eventually, what happened is what was meant to be. On my back in my bed in my room, laying like Tut in his tomb, I silence all distractions and fuss. I could be light years away, but I know I'm on the cusp. I know it. Give yourself your flowers and hug on thyself. I fell in love with myself. All the negative thoughts I had to shove on the shelf. I just got my balls in my net and gross. Ain't finna lose my mind, ain't even getting close. Affirming with the sermon of my words. Make my actions match, I'm running like Lamar Jackson. Raise the bar, raise your glass, bet the field. Raise your standard, you the answer when you moving real. Authentic to my inner heart, no Bonaparte. A soothing feel to be fed and about the red. I sat still then stood still at my bed's foot. Still water signs run beneath your belief. Dark wisdom over narcissism. I start my vision, then that jump starts my engine. Premium only please, only quality people. Top shelf thoughtless, walk this camel through the needle. I love myself enough to love you with no cut. I hopped out a drop cutlass with the white gut. I fell in love with myself. Give yourself your flowers and hug on thyself. I fell in love with myself. All the negative thoughts I had to shove on the shelf. I fell in love with myself. Give yourself your flowers and hug on thyself. fell in love with myself. All the negative thoughts I had to shove on the shelf. Me, myself, and I had beef one time. I tried to rush the process, then I knew I had to squash it. The mirror was the scrimmage line. Images outside me tried to shape mine. They wanna take me for what I'm not. I ain't having that, you know I'm present on my plot. Standing on my square firm, this is how I learn. Make a mistake, eat it like a piece of cake. You fall on your back, make sure you look up. If you look up, you get up, get the hook up. Rise above the fray, I fell in love with myself, I'm not the mud and clay. Patagonian fish fillet, matrimony with yourself, make a wish today. Get up out your way, light your fire, I'm the star and my life's the play. I fell in love with myself, give yourself your flowers and hug on thyself. I fell in love with myself, all the negative thoughts I had to shove on the shelf. I fell in love with myself, give yourself your flowers and hug on thyself. I fell in love with myself, all the negative thoughts I had to shove on the shelf. Breathe some air into your nose and blow it out your soul. That's a cheat code on how to regain control. I bounced from high school and said I'ma see the globe. Saw some peaks and valleys, ran my ground from Greece to Cali. Therapeutic music, this is your Vax pack. Make your cake from OnlyFans if you a trap rat. News you can use, advice I came to give you. Here's a jewel, build a life that outlives you. I fell in love with myself, give yourself your flowers and hug on thyself. I fell in love with myself, all the negative thoughts I had to shove on the shelf. I fell in love with myself, give yourself your flowers and hug on thyself. Love on thyself. Fall in love with yourself. Fall in love with yourself.
Yeah. Look, my bank account is not negative, and no are my thoughts. I try to think it could be worse, I could be going to court. Thank God I'm not in the cell, don't have a cancerous cell. Try not to eat the chicken, still trying to get chicken as well. I represent where I dwell, I do be doing it well. Nobody do it like I do it, do they? Don't mean well. I kill the show, collect the dough, and then my name people yell. Cause I say hold up, they say hold up, put the weed in the air. Hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. Nowhere to we, let's roll up, I say hold up, hold up. Freaky, freaky, wild girl, freaky, freaky, wild girl. Just cause it's bigger, it's not necessarily better. Like she can have a figure, but that don't mean that she weather. However, I've been getting my shit together, steering clear with no fear, storming through stormy weather. Whatever.
You can do it, you can do it. Take the time and train your mind if you can do it. It ain't nothing to it. Once you do it, make you move and move it. Don't be scared to do it.
It's all positive vibes, and all these J's sparked up like it's the 4th of July. But we celebrate Juneteenth. Pour libations, trees is in rotation. What's up, Stink? Yeah, that's my sis, and that's my dog. We used to do a lot of shit, but we grew up and evolved. And it's just a matter of time for we be richer, cause we really rich inside of our mind. All these views that I found inside of myself, making big moves with my music. Yeah, I'm proud of myself, but I'm proud of you too. If you listen,